If you'd like to get involved with Shoreditch Radio, or if you run any local projects or events, please contact us at info@shoreditchradio.co.uk.
Esky boy, Dan no. Out to all my people.
Hello, we're Vimba.
Hi, this is Dean from Lois and the Love.
This is Roman from Breton.
I am Adam Fartley.
I'm Orlando from the Maccabees.
I am Colin Peters.
I'm Lewis from Chapel Club.
Hi, this is Guy from Zulu Winter.
Hello, this is Carl Barat.
Hey, this is Rita Ora, and you're listening to Shoreditch Radio. Yes!
There you go again with your first world problems. Where you're living is easy. Messing up your mind, the daily grind. Gotta leave it all behind. Driving everybody crazy. Driving everybody crazy.
Good evening and welcome back to the Indie Intellect show on Shoreditch Radio, hosted by myself, Owen Stanley, and we've got a bumper show for you today. We've got three interviews which I recorded over the last month and including last week as well. We've got Black Honey interview, Bad Sounds interview, and ending the show with an interview with the newest boys from Colombia, Blinders, who played the Garage last week in an incredible show, one of the best I've been to this year, and they are a band you need to really check out. Debut album, absolutely amazing, and we'll talk about that more to the time. Now, we started off the show today with Ian Brown's new single, First World Problems. He has been away for a little while, obviously came back last year with a tour with the band Stone Roses, played Wembley, Hampden Park, among a couple of other dates, and it was incredible really that a band like that from the Manchester area who were around in the 80s came back for that tour. And you know, I went to it, one of the best gigs of my life, and now Ian Brown is back with his own music again, which is really exciting. He's got an album coming out next year, I believe, which you should all really look forward to. I am definitely. I mean, when he released some of his older debut sort of single stuff on his own when I was a lot younger, I didn't really know much about it, but now obviously given where I am, I've seen the band before, I can really get into it and sort of acknowledge what it is, and I'm really excited for that album. Now, as I said, 3 interviews in today's show, so let's kick it off now. Why not? Black Honey played Electric Ballroom a couple of weeks ago. I was there. It was fantastic. They really showed up for it and celebrated the release of their debut album, self-titled record, which is a great album. Again, check it out if you haven't already. So here's my interview with Black Honey prior to the Electric Ballroom show in Camden. This is Black Honey's interview. Please enjoy. Live at Electric Ballroom, joined by Black Honey ahead of their biggest headline show to date in London. First off, this is obviously the album tour you're on at the minute. How does this compare to all the previous tours you've done? Now you've got an album to go and tour around the country.
It's been wicked. It's been bigger, obviously. It's the biggest tour we've ever done, the headline tour. It's just really nice to, because the album only came out like a month ago, like pretty much to the day. So it's amazing because people are singing all the words and stuff, which is really sweet. It's nice.
No, when I reviewed the album for our website, I sort of described it as like an 80s disco set inside a horror film.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, bang on.
And sort of like you've got the songs in there that are sort of like dark and gritty, but then you've got also other songs that sort of like have like pop resemblance to it. How did you find, because I know there's a couple of songs on the album that are sort of older that have been on previous EPs, how did you find mixing the older music with the new music sort of like define how you are as a band now? Because I sort of feel like a debut album sort of gives you more of a solidified version of yourself as a band.
It was pretty odd. I mean, I think we quickly realised that it was going to be pretty eccentric, the album, like it would quite sort of mismatch almost.
Like a disco, basically.
Yeah.
Like lots of different genres all mixed into one.
Yeah. But we kind of just embraced it because we're a bit like that anyway. We have really short attention spans, go through phases of different music really quickly and stuff. So it was quite a good mix of everything we like. But choosing old stuff was quite tricky. We didn't want to put like loads of the old stuff on. We just thought I was a bit lazy. And we had a lot. I think Izzy had a lot more to say that wasn't on the old stuff. So, but yeah, we had several arguments about track listing.
Did it feel like the right time for you to release an album? Obviously, you've been around releasing EPs for about 4 years now. You finally got to the point where you can release an album. Did the timing just feel right for this one?
I mean, we've been gagging to release an album, for ages, but it kind of felt like album 2. Like if you get the deluxe, which has all of the old stuff on disc 2, that feels like album 1 for me, and then this feels like album 2. But I think like we just wanted it to be right, and I'm glad we didn't record an album at the beginning because we weren't ready to do it. I mean, we weren't ready for this, which comes with it, this whole big tour, and like we needed to get better before to do all this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely it was the right timing. It just felt like a long time.
A lot went into this album. I want to talk about a couple of tracks. First one, I'm going to talk about Into the Nightmare, which was co-written with Royal Blood, that you also toured with not too long ago. How did that all come about? I know you're both Brighton-based bands. Have you been friends a little while? How did that all come about?
Yeah, we've been friends for years. But the first time I met them was they came to one of our really, really early shows. In fact, I think it was a different band, sort of, because we kind of went through some. Yeah, it was at Brighton Electric, I think, which is a big recording and rehearsal studio.
Yeah.
They came to that and said they really liked it. and we sort of stayed in touch. And then we did a little tour with them. What was that? 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, like their pre-tour tour.
Yeah.
That was good fun.
And it was really good fun.
Yeah.
And then
they're great. They're great guys. Yeah. I mean, they're pretty hard going, as in like they like to party.
They can drink tequila.
Yeah, damn right. But yeah, that was probably my favourite experience in this band, doing that tour, because we got like a proper big tour bus to do all of Europe and everything, and we felt like, you know, we're a proper band now. You know.
And I think a lot of tours you could go on that sort of size, you could feel quite uncomfortable and sort of like an unwanted guest almost.
Yeah. But they were so well.
Like their whole team and the guys, everyone was just super lovely.
Also gives you a sense that when you're playing, like you're only supporting, you're playing that size venues, and you get used to playing that sort of crowd, and really give you that energy when you go on your own tour. Like we've done that, we can do this even better now.
Yeah.
Like that's not daunting to do this tonight, because you've done an arena that had 10,000 people in it, and that was daunting.
I mean, it is still quite daunting.
It's still daunting. It's always daunting every show, but less so than it would be. Yeah.
Now, when I mentioned earlier about the 80s disco theme, that really, when I saw the music video for Midnight, there's been so much thinking going into that. It's like 3 different stories into
Izzy's
one.
brain. It's just that you're literally in her head there. It's like if she's having a dream and the camera's gone in her ear, and then whoop, there you are. It was. We shot the whole thing in one day. It was
very. Where was it filmed?
It's filmed in a nightclub in London. What was the club called? Damn. When our manager comes back, he'll be able to say.
The something club. It's like near Oxford Street.
Yeah.
Just like. But it was basically like the only place we could find with a light up dance floor that would let us make a mess of it.
Yeah. What was the club called that we shot Midnight in? And here's Dan.
The Loop Club.
The Loop. There you go.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
But yeah, that was a long day. Good fun though.
So moving on from that, as we say, this is your biggest show to date in London. Also played Bright in your hometown. How has the whole tour been as an experience so far?
It's just been pretty crazy. Like Tommy said earlier, it's weird to have only just released the album and everybody knows the words to every song you play. Yeah. We haven't had that before. So I think that's my favourite part of it.
And the venues we're doing are a lot bigger than we've ever really done in headline shows. But so I keep turning up to them thinking there's going to be no one there, and then our manager's like, "Oh no, it's sold out. It's fine. Stop panicking."
Just a little bit of just so you're aware. Moving on. Now, the one thing I really wanted to discuss in this interview was sort of how you've changed as a band. Because I remember I've been listening to you for quite a few years. I remember when Madonna came out, however long ago that was. Then All My Pride just kept going and going and going. Do you think your style's like evolved massively, or more just you've intertwined it to match the new album?
It's like, I think it's just listening to more and more pop music, I think has made us think about bringing more pop stuff into it. You know, like we always wrote, or tried to write anyway, like catchy choruses and all that sort of stuff, but the production side we never really thought about hugely. So I guess doing an album with producers, that all sort of just came out.
Yeah.
In that.
I think it's more, rather than evolving, we just kept adding stuff, like adding influences and sort of genres and stuff. Adding genres, but you know what I mean, like adding certain little bits. So it just sort of, becomes a bit more of a Frankenstein thing.
Yeah. Who would you say has been your biggest influence for the album?
Mine's him.
Cop out. I don't know. I thought such a lame answer, but I don't know if I can name like one.
Yeah, because it's such a mishmash of stuff. There's not like one overriding thing, I don't think.
Okay, one final thing before we end. I'm going to play this interview on the radio. You can choose one of your songs to play directly after it. Which one would you fancy?
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Just Calling.
Yo!
Tuesday on my own. You swung by my home. Say where you wanna go. No one has to know. We were driving like kids. We lit a cigarette and kissed. You've been waiting for me, 'cause I was waiting for you too. I'm just calling you out. I'm just calling just calling you out. I'm just calling to say, how does it feel? Now that I'm not around, never meant to hurt you. I will let you down. But how does it feel now? I've been stringing you out, making wait for me so long. Then I let you down.
Trouble goes upon us all, leaves little to the imagination. Send me back, heart attack. It doesn't take long to remember. Funny how we wait somehow in that place between now or never.
That was a Black Honey interview. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to record. We talked about a lot of things. As you'll see, we talked about how to make the perfect cup of tea, which obviously, if you're going to do an interview, is the main topic you need to discuss to make sure people understand that it's 2 sugars, not 1. But anyway, we move on. Stereo Honey also there, following on from the Black Honey single, Just Calling, selected by the bands we played on the show. And yeah, if you're a FIFA fan, you may be familiar with Stereo Honey. They've got a track on the new FIFA 19 game. The game which has brought me a lot of highs and also a lot of lows, but I won't get into that right now because that's a separate issue that I don't want to get mad about on radio. The single was titled Where No One Knows Your Name. Obviously, as I mentioned, FIFA player on the soundtrack. Great song, and yeah, hope you can hear it if you haven't already seen it on FIFA if you are a player. Now, moving on to another interview, a band who have been on the show before when I caught up with them at Why Not Festival, Bad Sounds. Obviously, the pre-recorded interview at Why Not Festival was prior to the album, which was a lot different to now. This one, obviously, now they have the album, we could talk about a lot more range of stuff. And, you know, the Why Not one was a lot of fun. First time I met the boys, and it was, you know, a really fun interview to record. But this one was levels above just because there's so much to talk about. Really lovely guys, very funny, very down to earth, very intelligent. Maybe intelligent enough to work out how long it would take to swim to Mexico from New York, but we'll get into that when you listen to the interview. This is Bad Sounds, who played Heaven a couple of weeks ago, and that was where I met them for the second time. This is the Bad Sounds interview on Shoreditch Radio. Please enjoy. Shoreditch Radio joined at Heaven by Bad Sounds for the second time. They've been on the show. First of all, how are we?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Now, the first time we spoke was a few months ago, pre-album at Why Not Festival. We discussed what we can expect from the album coming up and how excited you were for the tour, which you're now on.
Yeah.
How's it been since the album's come out, the general response so far?
Yeah, I think it's been good. I don't know, it's kind of hard to gauge, isn't it? Like, I haven't heard anybody say they absolutely hate it yet, but then I'd be quite a weird person to say that too. It's kind of like going out to someone and being like, I hate your kid. Or like, so, hopefully good.
Our mum likes it.
Yeah. That's the main thing.
Yeah, it was on. She gave me a lift somewhere the other day. It was on when I got in the car, and I turned it off. She was like, "Why have you done that?" I was like, "I'm not going to drive around Chippenham with you, blasting out the album that I recorded with my brother." But yeah, she likes it.
So now the album is out. We talked at the time it would give you a more like defined version of yourself as a band. Have you found that so far?
Yeah, I feel a bit more like the stuff. I just really felt people weren't expecting. It didn't seem to divide them as much as you were expecting. Like, it's a track called Thomas is a Killer that we really thought was going to be like, some people are really going to hate it, some people are going to really love it, and everybody who we've spoken to about it seems to be into it. Again, they're not going to tell me they hate it. I'm really the wrong person to ask it. You should go in the audience and ask one of them. I don't know. Hopefully though, it feels like we definitely put out different tracks than we have before, and we feel happy with the album.
Yeah, there's a good mix in there between previous songs from EPs and obviously the new mix together. Do you feel like having the old songs from old EPs sort of complements the new ones in a way, or just ties in perfectly?
I think we were just very conscious that we wanted the tracks we put on the album to fit well together, regardless of sort of whether they were. There were certain tracks that we knew that we had to put on there, like we knew that Wages had to be on there, and obviously that had been on Fresh. But it just kind of the part of the reason we chose other tracks to sit with it was because they went well with those tracks already. It wasn't like we just chose our favourite songs that we'd written closer to the album.
Some of the new songs in there really do sort of tie into what I would consider like Bad Sounds to be. So you've got like the old songs as I mentioned, like Avalanche and Are You High and etc. We've got some really new songs that sort of like go into your impetus. I said like, How Are You Gonna Lose is one that I really like. When I first listened, like, yeah, this is proper Bad Sound sort of thing.
Thanks.
Wow.
Did you really, when you were writing it, sort of have the sense that right, we haven't broadcast these songs to other people, but they're going to get what we mean by it, and like they're going to know who we are more?
Funnily enough, that is probably the oldest song on the album. I feel like it might be like, I feel like we wrote the demo for that song before Living Alone, which was like our first single like years ago. We didn't like, we tried recording it a couple of times like in the sort of intervening years, but we would, whenever we write, to be honest, we just end up trying to write the song that we want it to be rather than worrying about like whether people are gonna get it or not. We do the worrying once it's too late and it's like it's going out now.
Yeah.
So there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, we write so many demos anyway as it is that I think it kind of, we don't really think about, is this going to be right for the album until we were making the album, and then we picked the songs which felt best for that. But How You Gonna Lose was a song that we kind of wrote it, liked the demo, went in to record it, didn't come out quite right, and then we just sort of left it for a while, but then it came back up. We sort of rediscovered it again, tried to record it again, still didn't come out quite right, but then it came up a third time, so I felt like it was one of those tracks that we were just sort of, was always in the back of our minds. We just didn't really, it took us a while to get it right, and we also didn't really feel any pressure to get it right at that time, if you know what I mean. I'm glad it's on the first album though. It feels, for us, because like Cal said, it was quite an early song that we've written, it felt like quite a key moment for us.
Talk to me about the album was called Get Better. Talk to me about how the idea of the Get Better Clinic came about. I think that's a very funny way of going into an album.
There's nothing funny about the Get Better Clinic.
You even have like the first song, if you will, is sort of like an intro to the whole album. It just gives you all these reasons to get better. How did that idea come about?
I wanted Patrick Stewart to do that.
Yeah.
But when I said that to our label / management, they told me that was out of our price range. No, we wanted to do something that was like a cohesive album and that tied it together. And a lot of the tracks were about kind of like self-help and things that are very apparent right now. And I think I'm kind of a sucker for that stuff and also a skeptic at the same time, but I definitely kind of delve into that scene, or like I'm interested in it. And even like cult stuff I find really interesting, so that's kind of where the inspiration for that came from. But it was actually you who wanted to try the voiceover thing.
Yeah, I remember I'd like done a mock-up at home in my living room, and Ewan was coming around to work on demos the next day, and I was kind of like, so I've done this thing, I don't know if you're gonna like it. It might be a little bit too close to the bone, or like just a little bit too weird to do. And you were just like, yes, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Let's get Patrick Stewart.
We had to redo the vocal though because it sounded really West Country when we did it originally. It was like, hello there.
Hello there.
Welcome to Get Better. But yeah.
Could have done it Patrick Stewart with that northern accent, all that sort of accent.
Well, that's partly why, just to get away from our farmer sound was my influence. But
now, the first time I saw you in general was a couple of years ago. You played Kentish Town with Rat Boy. Now you're playing your biggest headline tour to date. Now I heard a different interview from a couple of years ago. I think it might have been last year at Reading Festival. You admitted you didn't like flying. But if you keep getting bigger as a band, you're probably going to have to deal with that.
We got to fly to Mexico next month to do a gig.
So the thing is, you get the nervous as we get the excitement for it.
I'm just the nervous. I'll be excited when I get there.
Ewan genuinely looked into like how much it would cost and how long it would take to get a boat over.
You can get like a freight boat, but I'm vegan and I don't really think it'd go down that well to be on like a boat for like working fishermen and maybe a night. What's on the vegan menu today, lads? So yeah, it was kind of a doomed idea, and plus it takes like, Mexico's like the other side of America, so I think you get the boat and it gets to New York, and then you have to like travel cross country by train. See, I genuinely looked into this, and then
never known a band to take that much. Work like hard on that to get on a boat.
I know. Because, yeah, it takes like a week to get to New York, and then it takes like another week to get across country.
Maybe you should look into swimming it.
It's true. That'd probably be a lot
quicker.
Especially when you see these arms.
You punch it.
I can take that water.
Yeah. Now we're nearly at the end of 2018 now. I say it's from personal point of view of your band. It's been a busy yet rewarding year. You've already set yourself up to have a really big 2019 as well, having the album and the tour this year, and you can really build next year. How did you think, out of interest, the back end of 2017, you sort of thought this would be our year in a way?
No, I think I was too nervous to think that because I don't know, just always err on the side of it's all going to go wrong. Everybody's going to hate the album, and then
it's going to go wrong. We're not going to get Patrick Stewart.
Well, we didn't get Patrick. This is what we focus on. We didn't get him. Thank you for rubbing that in. But like even now, it's like it's really nice and like flattering when people say like how sort of like how great our year's been, and because we forget to think about it like that, we always end up focusing on what we haven't achieved, what we set out to do, and what we haven't done. That we usually forget to just sort of take a step back and really enjoy what we've done. So
yeah, but no, it is good. Like we're super fortunate to be in the position we are and doing the shows we're doing, and I just hope, I hope it continues, and yeah, we just feel lucky. Do you know what I mean? But also, I don't ever feel like we'd be one of those bands where it's like, oh, it's their year, because we kind of stick out a bit. I just feel like we just focus on doing what we're doing, and if the people who are into it want to like get behind that, that's awesome for us. But I don't ever expect to be like Buzz Band of the Year or anything like that. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for coming back on the show.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
You know the score by now from the first time we did this. We're going to end the show with you picking one of your tracks to go straight after it. Now, last time you chose, I believe it was Couldn't Give It Away, but this is pre-album, so now we've got a lot more choice.
Okay. I'm going to say, Honestly. You good with that?
Yeah.
Alright, this is Bad Sounds of Honesty on Shoreditch Radio. Thank you very much for coming on. Have a great show.
Thanks for having us.
Nice one.
Different location. I must be into dedication. Yeah, I can care and not be there, promise. Honestly, you got me. Yeah, like the sun's always there. At times you don't feel it, but it don't go nowhere. Tell her I'm going home, to feel bad about it on my own. Tell her I'm going home, tell her I'm past it. Don't try to phone me, tell her I'm going home, to feel bad about it on my own. Tell her I'm going home, tell her I'm past it. Don't try to phone me. I ain't rarer than rockin' horse shit. I sweat on an Inuit that I came round to it. Must be deep in the psyche. Pass the mic when we're all fighty, till we're all righty. Do it for me, now do it yourself. You don't pause for breath when I am around. Can you believe that it gets this hard? Just working it out. Tell her I'm going home, to feel bad about it on my own. Tell her I'm going home, tell her I'm past it. Don't try to phone me. Tell her I'm going home, to feel bad about it on my own. Tell her I'm going home, tell her I'm past it. Don't try to phone me. Can't believe what I say. My mind changes every day, and I feel like it won't. But you don't, yeah. 'Cause you've seen me the other way. I don't wanna pick it apart, wanna pull us together. Everything changes regardless of whether we're getting settled or chasing what's better. So pick it apart, pull it together, and if frequently, well, we ain't on the same frequency, then maybe we can talk differently. But I'm into dedication, see line 3. Tell her I'm going home, to feel bad about it on my own. Tell her I'm going home, tell her I'm past it. Don't try to phone me. Tell her I'm going home, to feel bad about it on my own. Tell her I'm going home, tell her I'm past it. Don't try to phone me. Believe what I say. Tell her I'm going home, tell her I'm past it. Don't try to phone me. Believe what I say. My mind changes every day.
That was Bad Sounds of Honestly on Shoreditch Radio, the track selected by the band to be played on today's show. One of my favourites off the album called Get Better. Get Better is essentially just a clinic name, really. It's about how people can listen to the album, perhaps, and learn to get better. There's a very good opening song to it, if you can call it that. It's more like a prelogue about how, well, the struggles you face in life and how to get better from them. And I think that's a really nice touch from the band to sort of bring in modern world problems and talk about how you can defeat them in such that listen to the album may actually help you out of that. And I think it's a very nice addition to the album. There's a lot of great tracks in it, much like Black Honey's album, which we're going to talk about a little bit now. That album was released last month, I believe, and yeah, it's been a long time coming, that one, actually. It's been about 4 years in the making, if I'm honest. I mean, we talked about that on the interview, 4 years of just constant, recording EPs and everything like that, and it really was, as the band said, the right time to release it, and you can't disagree with that in the sense that when you've been releasing EPs for that long, it really sort of gives you more emphasis to sort of go ahead and release the album. Now you know what you're about, you've defined your sound, and then obviously they're going to only get bigger from here. Whereas Bad Sounds, much similar actually. Much similar. Released a lot of EPs over recent years. I remember the first one, Hothead Chippendom, was on that first EP. The Fresh EP, Are You High? There's a lot of tracks from the album that actually coexist before the album on different EPs, and they've sort of blended in really well with the new tracks they've added to the album, which Ewan talks about in the interview. And another great album, definitely going to be in my top 10 albums of the year, which you will see on the show near the back end of December. I go through my favourite tracks of the year, favourite albums. It's going to be a very exciting show, very much looking forward to that. Anyway, moving on, just quickly actually, Sandara Karma, One Last Night on This Earth.
Johnny
Lights and Dark Armor, One Last Night on This Earth, absolutely amazing single. I think possibly even my favourite song this band have released, and that's saying a lot considering all the EPs they had prior to the debut album. Now this is coming on to the new album, which is coincided with the release of Illusions, the earlier single, and then these two singles back to back releases really epitomise what they are as a band. I listened to them, I was like, yeah, that's definitely, you know, their style is what they want to do. And it's the last album was a bit dark and deceptive, and also had that jazzy Hollywood sort of theme to it, and it was a really good mix. I mean, the first half was more like the glamour and the Hollywood glitz, whereas the second half was more dark and deceptive, and it really did bring out a different side to the band, which I have never heard before, and I really am looking forward to that. We're going to head on to our final interview of the show, and this is the one I recorded last week with The Blinders. Absolutely incredible band, funny guys, absolutely brilliant. They are from Manchester. They played the Garage, sold out show, as to be expected, because they are just that good. Their debut album, Columbia, is now out, which is really just... it really epitomises rock and roll in the modern age, really. I mean, it's just heavy guitar, heavy vocals, just fantastic. And we're going to play that interview for you now. This is when I met the Blinders at the Garage on Shoreditch Radio. Please enjoy. Shoreditch Radio live at the Garage, joined by the Blinders ahead of their gig here at the Garage tonight. First of all, congratulations on the release of Columbia.
Thank you very much.
How's it feel to finally have that out there?
Yeah, I think it was a big sort of weight off our shoulders, and in a way we've been selling it for a long time, so to finally get the first album out there was a big deal for us, you know, and that's the reaction since it's come out, it's been very good, like, so yeah, all positive.
And this is your first headline tour with the album out. How's that been going for you so far?
Brilliant. Yeah, I think because now we have the catalogue of music, it just, you know, it makes sense, man. You know, people are really digging the tunes more than they ever have before, so I think on both sides it's for the audience and for us as a band it's been incredibly enjoyable, so yeah, we're having a ball.
Funny story about how I first actually got into your music. We were at a festival in the summer called Wine Off Festival, and we had these two mates with us, and they every time I was in my ear I could say, gotta get through. I was thinking to myself, what's he going on about?
Just gotta get through, mate. Just gotta get through. Quick Google.
And I finally heard the tune, I was like, oh, that's the band you keep going on about.
I gotta get through this.
Luckily for me, when I first found out about you, the album was actually out, so I joined at a really perfect time. Now, something I found really interesting about the album that I read, apparently it only took you a month to actually record it.
Yeah, just over a month it was, about this time last year actually. But yeah, we spent a month in there, and we were sat on it for about 9 months afterwards, weren't we? So
I think the idea of it taking a month, that sort of definitely influenced the way that it came out, both in sound and in production. It was very raw and visceral because, you know, it was also fast paced, and yeah, it was incredibly detrimental to our mental and physical health, but for the sake of, you know, how the album sounds, we're glad that we did it in that fashion. We wouldn't do it again, but yeah, it was incredibly intense.
Yeah, but at least when you put that much effort into it and all the blood, sweat and tears, it comes out as well as it does.
That's the idea behind it, I think. And especially, you know, regarding the themes and the place where we did it, Wolverhampton, you know, in this small industrial site. Yeah, it definitely sort of helped the tone and the overall atmosphere of the album come to what it is now.
Now, you're all from Yorkshire and Doncaster, I believe, and I've heard quite a lot, watching old interviews, that you're big fans of the Arctic Monkeys, both from the Yorkshire area. Did you find some sort of inspiration from them going into this album?
I think that inspiration refers more to being in a band in general, not necessarily the album, although their third album, Humbug, always stuck with us for a long time. That is essentially where we bonded as a band, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like the Holy Grail, isn't it?
That was like a Holy Grail. I feel like we realised we wanted to make music after hearing that. But yeah, they're just at the forefront of both songwriting and performance in, you know, being in a band in general. I think they're really something to behold, and personally I think Alex Turner's
sort of next John Lennon sort of figure, David Bowie-esque almost. Give him time, he's still at his peak, so...
People forget how young he is still.
Yeah, definitely.
32,
definitely. So don't even think he's that. Yeah. But yeah.
Of course, one of his best mates, Miles Kane, has credited you recently. He's listened to your tunes, that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, that was incredible, man, yeah. That was,
a little fanboy moment.
Oh, absolutely. We grew up listening to him and going to watch his gigs. So to be able to, be recognised by Miles and then join him on a last-minute date for his warm-up tour for his new album, it was great to meet him and great to share a stage with him. So.
Now, you've been in the band for a long time, and as you mentioned, the album only took a month to actually put together. Did you feel like it was, by the time you finished it, gave you a more defined version of yourself as a band?
That's a good question.
I think it matured us very quickly once. Once we actually got in there, it matured us very quickly. We soon realised in the first couple of days how daunting the actual full album process was. It's like, we've got a month to do this, but we've not got enough material, we're stranded here. Tom was crying in the corner for most of it, so...
That's not a lie. Yeah, but that definitely, again, shaped the album, and having that, it was so intense.
I think everything surrounding that with our mental and physical health actually bled into the album, which, like you said earlier, it's made it the product it is, so, we can't really fault it in that way, so...
But if and then we sort of look at it as almost like it was 2 or 3 years in the making, that album, and it was something to document what we'd been doing from the start of this band. When we really started to catch on to our own sound and our own personality of the band, if you like. But yeah, it was a very intense month.
The album definitely really goes into like the gritty northern sound. Do you sort of feel as though the songs you've written from the album sort of tie in with what you see the world to be at the minute? Like songs like Brave New World stick out, and it's sort of like you're sort of saying how you'd rather things be in comparison to what they are at the minute.
I think Doncaster, where we're from, influenced the writing heavily, but also we sort of did half the album in Doncaster, if you like, and half the album in Manchester, writing wise. So it was definitely something where we were looking on the world, and that was how we saw it. But then we masked it in this dystopian literature to allow us to, just really go out of the park with it and turn it into a fictional world, which is what Columbia is essentially meant to be. It doesn't have to be, but it's meant to be. And then Brave New World, yeah, it's just a pop song, isn't it?
It's probably my favourite one.
Yeah, is it really? Yeah, it's my least favourite.
Don't think we're going to get along. Now, I want to touch on the album artwork itself. It's sort of like I sort of saw it as like a superhero kind of thing. I know that's probably not what it was. Like with
Green Lantern.
Sure.
Yeah, it ties into what I said a minute ago about how you want the world to be and you're in the world. And I sort of like the makeup is like super like Robin Hood sort of thing.
Sure, I mean, I quite like that, the comparison to that character we call Johnny Dream. So I kind of like that comparison, the Johnny Dream to Robin Hood, I suppose. But
still from the rich, give to the poor.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, that was the makeup just came out of a performance sense, that sort of Arthur Brown, Alice Cooper sort of style. Where
you made it your own now, performing on the stage.
Sure, yeah, but that is us interpreting the music that we make and giving it life on stage, and the makeup allowed us to create that persona and character of Johnny Dream, all the while being able to separate your on-stage performer to your off-stage self, as we're talking here now. We often feel like it's sort of a fictional band that we're performing almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Everything makes sense to me. I'm too simple to not really. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Very nice for the gig later.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Thank you very much.
You sticking around, yeah?
It would have been a wasted trip otherwise. Last couple of tracks now. Well, actually, the last track of the show. Sorry, it's gone that quick. I didn't even realise. The Blinders are going to be a very big band in the future, hence why I was so keen to interview them. I think next year's going to be a huge year for them. They'll play lots of festivals, I'm sure, go on another UK tour. But for now, we're going to play the final track of the show. This is Blinders with Brutus. I may warn you, it's 6 to 7 minutes long, but it is by far the standout on the album, in my opinion anyway. Just heavy. It's like 3 songs into one, like 3 different stories played across 7 minutes, and it's a really intelligent way of releasing a single, and I really think it epitomises what the album's all about. As I say, check it out. Check out Black Honey's new album. Check out Bad Sound's new album. These 3 are going to be really making waves in the future, and I'm really grateful that I had the time to spend with them and to record these interviews. And yeah, we've got a lot more coming up on the show. Tom Deacon will be in the studio in December, I believe. That will be one I'm really looking forward to. Very funny guy. And we have a lot of more interviews coming up on the Indian Intellect show, as I just try and provide as many as I can. The big standout that I can now announce, and I was cautious about announcing before it was all tied up, but in the new year, in February 1st, I believe, I will be interviewing one of the biggest indie bands that the UK has seen in recent years, and that will be the Wombats at SSE Arena, Wembley, and I am very grateful to be able to do that and very excited to be able to do that. But for now, we're going to end the show with Blinders, with Brutus. I'll have a bit more to say after this track, but this is the final song of the show. Hope you thoroughly enjoy it. Blinders, Brutus, Shoreditch Radio. Let's go.
Takes his stand, surrounded by a band of cutthroats, ready to take your purse. Give it our goddamn purse. It's heard around the manger of a savior, gonna slit his throat today. If Brutus gets his way, you're gonna slit his throat today. If Brutus gets his way, you know they're gonna slit our throats today. If Brutus has his way.
Thank you very much for listening to the show today on Shoreditch Radio with me, Owen Stanley. It was an absolute pleasure to record this one. It was a lot of positives to go with it, all the 3 interviews, lots of great tracks, and it was really one of my favourites to date. And I think that, you know, hopefully this show gives you the impetus you need to go and check out these bands that I played today, the bands I've interviewed, and there's a lot of positive stuff to come. As I mentioned, the Wombats, Tom Deacon, it's a very exciting time for me and the station personally. Now, I'm going to end with a little side note now, which basically is just me saying that if there are any bands out there who want to be interviewed, please contact me at owenstanley902@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to do it and get you on the show. And yeah, that's all from me today. Thank you very much to everyone for listening. I hope to hear from you soon. See you later. Thank you very much. Goodbye.